Welcome to the third episode of Campaign D-Scussions. Today I am joined by Jordan Smith. And today we are going to talk about the movie theater, or the cinema-going experience. So I'm going to steal your phone for a second. What was your earliest movie-going memory?
Memory-wise, I believe it was Jonah, which was a VeggieTales movie that came out in the early 2000s. I would have been about 6 or 7 years old, somewhere around there. I don't really remember seeing the movie, but I remember walking in and seeing the picture for the movie above the doorway. Because usually, earlier on, instead of just displaying the title, they would have an image showing some of the characters maybe, or the fancy font for the title, something like that.
How old would you have been when you saw this?
2002, so I would have been 6 and a half, maybe 7.
Nice. I would have been, just born, or a fetus.
Stop making me feel old!
What movie currently holds the personal record for most amount of times you've seen in theaters?
Well, for a while that would have been hard to answer, because most movies I would have seen once, maybe twice. But then you get to 2020, before everything went downhill, and the first Sonic film releases. And I am a major Sonic fan, and I ended up seeing it 3 times. Which at that point was the record, and that was held and then tied by the second Sonic film, cut to 2024, when the third Sonic film comes out, and I end up seeing it not once, not twice, not 3 times, not even 4, but 5 times in total.
Nice. My record is 3 times with Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yeah, that makes sense. Actually, I think one of the times I saw Sonic 3 was with you.
Yeah, it was. I think it was time number 2 or 3.
It was definitely not 2, because the first 2 were in Florida.
Okay.
The first time I saw it was actually with my uncle and my grandfather. Second time with my cousin. Third time, I think, was with you. And then 4th time was with our mutual friend, Jason. And then the 5th time was with my friend, Tom.
Tell me about times when you saw a movie in theaters where the audience just went crazy, where they just went, ballistic.
Well, there's definitely 2 examples that come to my mind. The first being from Avengers Endgame. And spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the movie, but it's been 6 years old, what are you doing? But it gets to the final battle, they're all facing off against Thanos and his army. And Thanos seems like he's about to kill Thor, and then it just cuts to Mjolnir slowly lifting off the ground. You don't see who's lifting it, but a lot of people have their suspicions, and then after it's thrown, it comes back. Behold, it's Captain America! The moment they showed him on screen holding Mjolnir the first time, people went nuts. And I saw this on opening day, so it was full house, every seat was filled, and they were all just roaring. And then the other was when I saw Sonic 2 on the opening day. And it wasn't even for most of the movie either. It wasn't until the credits played and they had the bonus scene at the end, because they started to tease the next character for the next film. And when one of the soldiers talks to the commander, we found a file dating back over 50 years, people aware of the Sonic lore knew at that point that it was probably Shadow, because that is a reference to an event that happened 50 years prior. And then, sure enough, it cuts to a capsule opening up. And the moment people even saw his feet, similar thing to the whole Mjolnir thing, people just erupted, because Shadow's one of the most popular characters, and the fact that he was already confirmed to be in the next film just got people going crazy.
Yeah, an example for me was Spider-Man No Way Home. Mm. Probably my favorite experience with this. I saw that opening night. They actually went crazier for when Andrew Garfield went through the portal rather than Tobey Maguire. Probably because they knew, Andrew Garfield's in it. That means Tobey. That means Tobey's next.
Well, yeah, they were probably still very excited to see Andrew Garfield,
Yes.
but seeing him also confirmed the fact that you're about to see Tobey Maguire as well.
Yeah.
Although it wasn't too surprising for some super sleuths, because in one of the trailers they had for the movie, there was an infamous cut that showed the Lizard charging towards the one Spider-Man, and his head just turned back the other way for no reason, as if he'd just gotten hit, but there was nobody there.
Yeah.
So like, okay, somebody just hit him, but they're leaving him out on purpose. And my mom was really clever when seeing the trailer, and they just showed a Spider-Man hand reaching to catch Zendaya. And she's like, how much do you want to bet that's Andrew Garfield redeeming himself? And sure enough, that's what that was.
That happened, yeah. That was... I love how that movie... I don't want to say redeemed Andrew Garfield, like, my perception of him, but honestly, I feel like if he was given... If he was given, like, a really good script in his own movies, I feel like it'd be no contest. He would be he'd probably still be Spider-Man today.
Well, what I mean by redeem himself is that in Amazing Spider-Man 2,
Yeah.
he wasn't successful in saving his girlfriend, who also fell from a great height. So he redeemed himself in a way because he was able to save her from a similar fate.
Yeah.
And you could see like how that made him feel after he caught her. Because you could tell he was trying not to fall apart.
Yeah. What are some movies you were legitimately excited to see on the big screen?
Well, oddly enough, the first few that I'd thought about were re-releases. And the first one was the animated Beauty and the Beast. Because for a little while, before the live-action films really got going, Disney was re-releasing some of their animated classics in 3D.
Yeah.
And when they announced they were doing it for Beauty and the Beast, it's like, I gotta see this. Because I'd love to see this one on the big screen, especially in 3D, because there's some shots in that film, like when they're showing the castle or the area surrounding it, that are just beautiful. So it's like, I want to see what that looks like in 3D. And then when Shrek 2 was re-released in theaters for its 20th anniversary, it's like, out of all the Shrek movies, I have to see this one. And what was really cool about it is when we were walking into the theater, there was a couple of girls that were walking in at the same time. Apparently they had never seen this movie before, so I just told them, out of all the Shrek movies to see in theaters, this is the one you want to see.
Shrek 2 is by far the best of all the Shrek films.
Oh, no question. I mean, the first one was definitely good. The second one was phenomenal. The other two were a big step backwards, especially the third one. So I'm kind of tentative how this fifth one's going to play out.
Yeah, hope it's good, but I'm not going to be too surprised if it's a dud.
Right. And then the similar could be said actually for Revenge of the Sith, which I just saw in theaters recently, because I had only ever seen the sequel trilogy in theaters. I did have an opportunity technically when Revenge of the Sith first came out, but I actually wasn't allowed to see it at first because my dad believed the image of Anakin catching on fire would have been a little too much. And me being 8-9 years old at the time, I kind of got it. So when they re-released it, I'm just thinking, I finally have a chance to see this on the big screen. I'm going to take it.
Yes. I saw that I saw that with my coworkers over at the Apple Cinemas at the mall, and surprisingly the theater was almost empty. I brought my lightsaber with, and the scene where Anakin is about to kill, where he kills the younglings, right as he ignites his lightsaber, I ignited.
You did the same thing.
I did the same thing.
What really makes that scene really funny is that apparently behind the scenes, Hayden had legitimately scared those kids, and he felt so bad.
Yeah, apparently, apparently he said "boo" or something to the one kid, which is why that's when he ignites his lightsaber.
He jumps back. For
yeah,
a second.
He kind of stands back for a second. That's him reacting to Hayden scaring him.
Oh man, I would have loved to see that in person. as cynical as that may sound. Of course, the Sonic films, I was excited to see those. I already kind of went into that. But the other two I thought of were Avengers Infinity War and Endgame. If for no other reason, because these were the films that everything in the MCU were building up to at that point. And this was over a 10, 11-year period.
Yes.
Every once in a while, they might tease Thanos at the end of another film, or they might hint that they're gradually getting closer to getting all the stones and whatnot. But no, we finally get to the point where they're facing off with Thanos. It's like, I made sure to get tickets well in advance so I had a seat on opening day. And it was well worth it.
And then, yeah, well, with Endgame, Infinity War ended on that massive cliffhanger with half of our characters dying, and you were just like, okay, how are they going to bring him back? How are they going to bring Spider-Man back?
See, I kind of expected it was going to end on a cliffhanger, because before Endgame officially got its title, there was a timeline that was shown where it was just referred to as Infinity War Part 2.
I remember that.
So, it's like, yeah, I expected it was going to end partway through with some type of tragedy. And then, Avengers Endgame came out the following year. It's like, I have to see this because I already saw Infinity War, so I got to know how this plays out. How are they going to bring everybody back? How are they going to beat Thanos?
Yeah, so what's a movie that you were excited to see in theaters, but then saw the trailer and all your anticipation just died?
That would be the distinction of a lot of live-action Disney remakes. I was a little bit more tolerant of them near the beginning because there weren't that many, so I was like, maybe they're just trying to find their footing, see what sticks. But now we're in 2025, they're still pumping these things out, and it's gotten to the point where even the slightest thing that I don't like just kills any excitement I have for it. I'm sure I don't need to really go into detail on the whole Snow White issue. Lilo and Stitch, when I heard that Gantu wasn't going to be in it, and one character that everybody loved was going to be the villain, it's like, okay, now I really don't think I want to see this as much as I want to see Stitch again. And Lion King 2019 was another big one, because I saw the trailers and I thought, I understand this is supposed to be live action, but they look too real.
Yes. In the original, facially, like, the lions were, like, expressive. Like, look at the scene where Simba sees the stampede. Like, his jaw literally, like, drops. Versus in, like, the live action, he's just, like
staring blankly ahead.
Yeah.
They tried to fix this a little bit in the Mufasa movie, but it still looked really weird.
Yeah. Was there a movie you saw in theaters that you feel like, okay, that was a waste of 2 hours and $10?
Well, Lion King 2019. And the lack of emotion was a big problem, as we just mentioned, because you don't really see how they're feeling, and some of their line deliveries were just off for me. Like the whole "Long Live the King" when Scar knocks Mufasa into the gorge, it didn't sound nearly as menacing, so it didn't catch me the same way. So Lion King 2019 was one. I don't know if these are considered remakes per se, but the Maleficent movies with Angelina Jolie, it's like I was kind of interested in seeing, and then either time I saw one of the movies, I was just bored. Like, there was just so much going on, and I wasn't following it. I wasn't really intrigued. There was a couple flying scenes that were really cool, or one or two scenes that got a giggle out of me, but I just was not really invested. I was just bored.
Yeah, one for me, Batman versus Superman. I was so hyped for that movie, and actually I was kind of in denial after the fact that I didn't like it. This was the first time I had ever been so excited for a movie and then go and watch it and finding myself being disappointed. I remember reading reviews of it online and everyone trashing on it and kind of being in denial that this movie I had built up so much anticipation for over the years ended up just being such a letdown.
It really was, for sure.
Man, that was rough.
And one kind of unique example was Frozen 2, but it wasn't actually because of the movie itself. It was just the timing, because I had seen the movie with 3 other people. One of them at the time I was interested in, and I won't say her name. I was interested in her, and she played it like she was interested in me, and then apparently she was secretly with this other guy without saying anything for over a week. And then when we got into the movie theater, they were sitting next to me, and they were a little bit too mushy, if that makes sense. So it's like, I can't sit here trying to watch this movie knowing that that's happening right beside me. So I just got up and walked out. That was the only movie I ever walked out of, but it wasn't because of the movie itself. It was just bad timing.
Yeah. Alright. Was there a movie that you were surprised you actually, like, enjoyed it? Was there a movie that you thought was going to be really bad, but you went and saw it? I'm like, oh, that wasn't half bad.
Well, there were 3 movies that I thought of, and a couple of them I didn't necessarily think were going to be bad. I just didn't really think much of it. And one that really caught my surprise, as well as a lot of other people, was Puss in Boots: The Last Wish.
Yes.
Because it's a sequel to a movie that came out over a decade prior, and it wasn't really a sequel that anyone was demanding necessarily. But, I was going with a few friends, and I come back out of this, and it's like, where did this movie come from, and why did it take so long to come out? This is, like, a really good movie.
Yeah, that movie was way better than it had any business being.
For sure. The animation was incredible. The story, some of the plot elements in there. The whole sequence when Puss in Boots is running from the wolf and he's having this anxiety attack.
Oh my, yeah. Man, it's someone who, like, suffers from anxiety. Like, that movie spoke to me.
It spoke to me too, because I have that happen every once in a while, and sometimes all you need, as they showed in that movie, is a dog just cuddling up next to you and makes it all better.
Yeah, unfortunately, Cookie isn't really,
Cookie's a special case.
Yes.
I love the wolf for sure, because he wasn't... I know a lot of people call him a villain, and I kind of understand why, but I don't know if he's necessarily a villain, because technically speaking, he was just kind of doing his job.
Yeah, he's definitely an antagonist, but he isn't a villain.
He definitely had a little too much fun with what he was doing. But
yeah.
In fact, one of the Spanish phrases he muttered at the end translates out to, "Why did I play with my food?" So, but that was another one. And then The Wild Robot.
That was really good.
It really was, which I didn't think anything of at first. Because it was on a day where I just had nothing to do. So it's like, you know what? I just feel like going to see a movie. And out of the options available, it's like, okay, I've heard some good things about The Wild Robot. I guess I'll go check it out. And then I come out of it and I'm like, I gotta recommend this to a bunch of people. For an animated kids film, this was actually really good.
Oh my god, yeah, I don't know what it is about those animated kids films that makes me tear up more than, like, a Darren Aronofsky movie.
Yeah. I mean, there were definitely some touching moments in there. There were some surprisingly dark moments in there, too.
Yeah.
Like, there's a point where Roz is tumbling down a hill, and then she just pulls up a feather of a dead bird. Like, you don't see the whole bird, you just see, like, its wing. It's like, oh my god, she just flattened these things. But, yeah, it was a phenomenal movie. I started telling people to go see it, and everyone came back with the same thought. It's like, this is actually really good.
Is there a movie you missed during its theatrical run that you wish you can catch if it ever gets re-released? A movie that maybe you weren't born yet, or too young, or just flat out missed it?
There's 2. One being the original animated How to Train Your Dragon. Not the live-action one coming out. I may see that, I don't know. But I did not see the first one when it was in theaters. And after I finally did see it, it's like, I wish I could see this in theaters. If for no other reason, I want to see the flying sequences in 3D. I feel like seeing that on a big screen with a three-dimensional effect would be just so beautiful to look at. Especially when they just see like the sunset in the distance, or it becomes nighttime, or some of the fight scenes even when they're flying around. It's like that would be a spectacle. It's like I'd love to go see that if it was re-released in theaters. And the other is The Dark Knight.
Yes.
I don't think I saw any of the Christopher Nolan Batman films when they came out in theaters necessarily. Especially when The Dark Knight was coming out, I think I was in middle school, maybe late middle school, early high school. And my mom, especially with the Joker, thought it was going to be a little too dark. And when I saw the movie eventually, it's like, you know what? I kind of get it, because this is a darker Batman movie, especially with the Joker. So if I ever get the chance to see it in theaters again, I'm going to take it, for sure.
You know, funny thing about that, the first movie I saw in theaters, and I'm a little embarrassed to say that this was my first movie, but it was Beverly Hills Chihuahua. And that was back in '08 when the first Iron Man had come out and The Dark Knight had come out. So these movies were playing in theaters, and imagine if one of those was my first movie-going experience. I probably would have been way too young, but I would have preferred saying that The Dark Knight or Iron Man was my first movie-going experience, not Beverly Hills Chihuahua. I barely remember seeing the movie. I would have been like 5 maybe. We saw it after we got Emma, so it was an appropriate movie to see, but...
Well, I mean, if Beverly Hills Chihuahua ever comes back in theaters, you should take Cookie with you.
Just say she's a service dog.
Yeah, that'll totally go over well.
She'd be the worst service dog ever.
Oh, come on. So what? She got a certificate for graduation and then gets her head stuck in a gate.
Why is this service dog jumping on me?
She just loves you.
Have you ever wanted to make a movie yourself? And if so, what would it be about?
I actually did try to make a movie once. This was back in college when I was getting my bachelor's degree in theater. And they said I could do anything that I wanted, essentially, as long as it had something to do with like acting and whatnot. So it's like, I've had this movie plot in my mind that I'd love to make a movie out of. The issue, though, was time.
Yeah.
Because by the time I really decided that, it's like I had maybe 2.5 months to put everything together. And on top of that, I don't know what the heck I'm doing. I've never made a movie before. The farthest I really got was writing out everything that was going to happen in the trailer, along with the music I was going to use. And the general plot of this movie is that this guy, he's very optimistic, but he keeps having these curveballs that life is throwing at him. And it gets to the point where he's trying to stay optimistic, so he's containing the frustration. Eventually it becomes too much, so the frustration literally comes out of him and personifies itself as like a visual representation of his frustration. And the closest example I can think of as to what that would look like visually is from the new movie Thunderbolts with Bob and his character.
Yes.
It would be something very similar to that.
Just literally like the dark half of someone.
Yeah, like that's literally what that is, for sure.
Yeah.
And the premise would be he spends the rest of the movie trying to combat this, but he's having a lot of difficulty doing it. And while his friends can help him, it's really up to him to deliver the quote-unquote finishing blow. So that whole thing could be like a metaphor for overcoming yourself.
Yes. I feel like a good way to like end that movie, because a lot of people, think that they have to defeat their anxiety. They have to defeat their demons. Versus the solution really is you kind of have to like accept them and face them head on.
Yep.
I really like the scene in Thunderbolts where like Bob, tries punching his darker half and it just does nothing.
And then you just have all these other main cast members come up behind him and embrace him. And that's what ultimately slows everything down.
Yes. God, it's such a shame that movie that movie bombed.
I think the advertising wasn't really helping it because there wasn't really a lot of it from what I saw. But anyone who did see it, as far as I know, was saying that it was actually really good. Part of the problem too, though, is that only after the first weekend they revealed what the true title of the movie was.
Yeah.
Which ticked a lot of people off because they hadn't seen it yet.
Yeah. I feel like that they should have like revealed that during like its Disney Plus release or something.
Right, or like have an option in case they still hadn't seen it, where after they select that they want to see the movie, give them an option to see what the true title is. Or something like that.
Yeah. Has there ever been any movie that created a legitimate emotional reaction, such as making you like extremely happy, angry, or a movie that has ever made you cry?
Well, generally speaking, I've found in recent years that if a movie has a dog as a main character, I get angry thinking if they do anything to that dog, I'm not going to be happy. Like when they had, I think it was, what's the name of the dog in Guardians of the Galaxy? It was like Cosmo or something?
Cosmo, yeah.
It's like if something happens to that dog, I'm going to be so upset. Because I love that dog throughout the whole movie.
I hope nothing happens to Krypto in the new Superman movie. If anything does happen to Krypto, I will go to James Gunn's house and
Yeah.
do whatever do whatever to Krypto to what you know what I mean.
Yeah. Or when I saw the first John Wick film, one of the main plot points that drives the movie is the fact that his pet dog that he just got from his wife who had recently passed also gets killed. And I felt for him. I could definitely relate to the pain he was feeling.
That's what makes that movie so effective, is that's a pretty good way to really make you root for him, to really make you feel, okay, the people who did this need to pay. And John Wick delivers. he makes them pay, and it's so satisfying.
Yeah, I already really enjoyed Keanu Reeves as an actor and a person, but seeing him in these John Wick films and then Sonic 3 made him love him that much more. But really, the movies that got me to be really emotional, one was, again, The Wild Robot. But it wasn't necessarily because of the movie itself. It was a song that they played at the end. I think it's called something like Even When I'm Not. Because at that point, my dad had been long gone. So I felt like that message was kind of speaking to me. It's like, oh, he's still here even though he physically isn't. And then when I saw it the second time, I was with our friend Jason. And when I saw it again, that was after my mom had unfortunately passed away. So when I heard that song again, I was bawling my eyes out. It was very effective, and it's a message that I definitely needed to hear in that time. And something similar happened when I saw Sonic 3. And you wouldn't think a Sonic movie would be able to make someone like me cry.
Yeah.
But we get to the big climactic fight between Sonic and Shadow. They end up on the moon, and then they stop fighting. And shortly after, they start connecting over the fact that they both lost someone important to them. It's like, okay, I'm starting to relate to this. And then Sonic says something like, I found something more powerful than pain, that being the love that we had for each other. And that's what you need to hold on to. She might be gone, but your love will always remain. The moment he said that, I'm like, my mom just passed 2 months ago, and what are the odds that I'd hear a message like that soon after?
In a Sonic movie, nonetheless.
In a Sonic movie, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, even my uncle, my mom's brother, and my grandfather, who was her father, who saw it with me, Like, I had not seen, this is them talking, I had not seen the other two movies, but I needed to see that.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you can guess why for this one, but Black Panther 2, Wakanda Forever,
Yeah.
for me and for many other people, this was after Chadwick Boseman had passed away. And when the movie starts, they waste no time addressing the fact that he's gone. Like, even before you see anything, you hear them scrambling around trying to figure something out. It's like, oh, he has this illness and we need to save him. And then his mom comes from off screen and goes, your brother's gone. And they just immediately dive into a funeral type of special service for him. And every once in a while, especially at the end, they have these scenes of Chadwick as the character just enjoying his time in the role. And especially when it goes completely silent, there's no sound, there's no music or anything, it was extremely impactful.
Yeah.
Because it let you absorb the fact that he's gone and this is all that's left of him. And they did it partly as the character, but you could tell they were paying homage to the actor as well.
Yes.
And I felt like that was really needed. And then the last one I thought of was Endgame. Because I figured with how much build-up there was behind this and how long these movies were around, I and a few other people were like, okay, a major character is probably going to die near the end. And I and many other people thought it was either going to be Iron Man or Captain America.
The two big ones.
Yeah. And sure enough, they get to where Doctor Strange is holding up one finger to Iron Man without saying anything. And Iron Man responding without saying anything either. It's like, okay, he's about to die. He's about to make this big sacrificial move, and that's exactly what he did. He gets the gauntlet, makes the snap, and then he's just sitting there while people are trying to talk to him. And then, without him doing the typical like head tilt and closing the eyes, you just see the light on his chest plate go out.
Oh man, that hit.
It really did. It's like, that made me really sad because I love the character. I love RDJ's performance. And one thing that they actually left out that I wish they kept in was a deleted scene where after he's officially gone, the vast majority of the heroes that are there, they take a knee in respect.
Yes.
Which I thought was really cool because it's like they're paying respect to a great hero. But to me, it also felt like they were acknowledging the man who started the whole MCU.
I remember, watching that deleted scene and even seeing like Doctor Strange and Cap like take a knee. Yeah. People who kind of had a bit of a difficult relationship with him, and kind of even in his death addressing that complexity, I thought was really great writing and performing from the actors.
Yeah, but Black Panther 2 and Endgame, I felt paid strong homages to characters, and in one case, the actor as well.
Yeah.
And those homages just made me fall apart.
All right, so that's going to wrap up our third episode of Campaign D-Scussions. I would like to thank Jordan for coming on the podcast. Definitely look forward to having you on in the future, but if you enjoyed this, be sure to subscribe, follow us on Facebook and all our other social media platforms, and thanks for listening.